Look at the two antique portraits behind me. Which of these two noble women do you think committed treason? In the 16th and 17th centuries, portraits weren't just art. They were declarations of lineage, virtue, and power. In an era before photography, these images shaped public memory. Gowns spoke of wealth, jewelry of status. A composed face could fend off a scandal. For noble women, a portrait was both protection and legacy. Now here we have two elegant antique portraits, two noble women. One died mysteriously, the other survived a war-torn France. Today we investigate the hidden histories behind the life of the Duchess de Lesdiguières and the mysterious death of the Duchess de Roquelaure. Hello my friends, and welcome to another episode of Antique Acquisitions. And please don't forget to check out my store, Old Europe Antique Home Furnishings, when you need some quality antiques for your home or office. Now the late 1500s and early 1600s were some of the most turbulent years in French history. The country was torn by the wars of religion between Catholics and Protestants, a series of brutal conflicts that spanned over 3 decades and claimed millions of lives. Entire cities were besieged, noble houses were divided, and royal succession thrown into chaos. King Henry III was assassinated in 1589. He was succeeded by Henry of Navarre, a Protestant who became King Henry IV. Now, to secure the crown and reunite the country, he converted to Catholicism, famously saying, "Paris is worth a mass." His reign marked a turning point. In 1598, he issued the Edict of Nantes, granting religious tolerance to Protestants and bringing an uneasy peace. And for noble families, these shifts were deeply personal. Loyalties were tested, alliances were redrawn, and survival often depended on the right marriage, the right patron, or the ability to stay silent. At court, rank and presentation were everything. Attendance at royal ceremonies, salons, and state functions required elaborate dress, careful etiquette, and strategic visibility. The Queen's daily levee, or morning rising ceremony, could become a political battleground for access and favor. A noblewoman's reputation was built not just on virtue, but on her grace in conversation, her hosting skills, and her family's alliances. A misplaced word or social misstep could cost dearly. Louise, Duchess de Roquelaure, was born in 1583 into the influential Roquelaure family. Her father, Antoine de Roquelaure, was a Marshal of France and close confidant of Henry IV. Louise's marriage to Antoine II of Grandmont united two powerful Gascon houses and positioned her at the heart of the royal court. Her portrait reveals refinement, velvet gown, fine lace, and composed expression. But her story was far from serene. Her husband, the Duke of Grandmont, later accused her of treason, a grave charge that could suggest espionage, betrayal, or a politically motivated smear. And for that, he sought the death penalty. During the legal proceedings, Louise died under suspicious circumstances in 1610, the same year Henry IV was assassinated. Coincidence? Perhaps, or perhaps not. Some say she was poisoned. Others believe she succumbed to illness or stress, but no trial was ever completed, no judgment rendered, and no confession ever made. Her image, serene and noble, remains her final defense, a silent testimony crafted to preserve her dignity in death. Was she really guilty of treason, or had she simply displeased her husband? Back in the day, it was not so unusual for a man to fabricate an excuse to extricate himself from an unwanted marriage. If so, what might she have actually done? Sadly, we'll probably never know. The clues have faded over centuries, but the mystery remains. Now let's turn to Claudine. Claudine de Béranger de Gouault was born in 1551, at the dawn of the religious wars. She married Francois de Bon, a Protestant warlord who rose through the ranks to become Marshal of France and eventually Duke of Lesdiguières. Together, they were a formidable power couple. Their base in the Dauphiné region saw repeated battles, shifting alliances, and religious upheaval. Claudine played the role of diplomat and manager, keeping the family estate and legacy intact as war raged around them. The defining event of her lifetime was the 1598 Edict of Nantes. It legitimized the political roles of Protestants like her husband and brought them into the mainstream of royal politics. As Marshal, her husband Francois commanded armies for the king, and his eventual conversion to Catholicism secured his elevation to duke. At court, Claudine would have been expected to uphold her husband's station through ceremonial presence, careful correspondence, and the management of patronage networks. Noblewomen often presented petitions, arranged matches, or intervened discreetly in disputes. Even outside Paris, a duchess's household functioned as a miniature court with its own hierarchy and rituals. Claudine died in 1608, just as her husband reached the peak of his power. Her portrait, draped in silver and crimson, reflects a woman who not only survived chaos, but helped shape the new France that emerged from it. Louise and Claudine lived through the same era, but walked very different paths. One lived at the center of court scandal, the other in a mountain stronghold of military strategy. One died mysteriously amid whispers, the other in quiet honor. And yet, both left behind more than stories. Their portraits, meticulously painted, richly framed, remained windows through which we can peer into their world. These were not just likenesses, but carefully constructed legacies. In their faces, we can see beauty, but through their eyes, we can view the story of a country divided and reborn. Perhaps history can sometimes best be understood from the perspective of those who endured it. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content about history and antiques, and we'll see you next time.